The story of humanity's arrival in the Americas is one we thought we knew. Hardy bands of modern humans, Homo sapiens, crossing from Asia into a new untouched world. A world of giant beasts and sprawling, empty landscapes. But what if they were not the first? What if long before our own ancestors made that epic journey, other kinds of humans had already set foot on these continents? Imagine a world where the first eyes to gaze upon the Grand Canyon Imagine a world where the first eyes to gaze upon the Amazon rainforest belonged not to us but to our ancient, long-lost cousins. This is the tantalizing mystery that is captivating scientists today. It is a question that challenges the very foundations of our understanding of human history and migration across our planet. This is not a story of fantasy. It is a puzzle pieced together from fragments of bone, slivers of stone, and the ghostly echoes found within our own DNA. For decades, the established narrative has been clear and straightforward. But new discoveries are constantly pushing back the timeline, suggesting a human presence in the Americas far earlier than we ever thought possible. Could these earlier pioneers have been species like the Neanderthals, so well adapted to the cold, or the enigmatic Denisovans, whose own history is only just being revealed? The possibility is thrilling. It opens up a new chapter in the human saga, one filled with profound questions about who we are and where we came from. The implications of such a discovery would be extraordinary. It would mean that the story of the Americas is not just a story of Homo sapiens, but a multi-species epic. It would suggest that the drive to explore, to push beyond the known horizon, is a deeply rooted trait shared by different branches of the human family tree. We are now looking at the ancient past, with new tools, and a new sense of wonder. We're questioning everything we thought we knew. Let us venture into the deep past to investigate the possibility of a lost chapter in the peopling of the New World, a chapter that could rewrite our own story. Before we can search for them in the Americas, we must first understand who these ancient relatives were. The Neanderthals are perhaps the more famous of the two. They were not the brutish, hunched cavemen of old cartoons. They were a highly intelligent and resilient species who thrived across Europe and Western Asia for hundreds of thousands of years. They were shorter and stockier than us, suited to conserving heat in the Ice Age. Skilled hunters, crafted sophisticated stone tools, cared for their sick and elderly. Possibly had symbolic expression and art. They were in so many ways just like us. Then, there are the Denisovans, a far more mysterious group. A tiny fingerbone, a few teeth. The Denisova cave in Siberia. From this scant evidence, scientists extracted a complete genome. The DNA revealed a human population distinct from Neanderthals and modern humans, but closer to Neanderthals, a ghost lineage discovered just over a decade ago. Their DNA shows they were widespread across Asia. Frigid Siberian mountains, tropical Southeast Asia. These two groups were not isolated from one another. Genetic analysis shows Neanderthals and Denisovans met and interbred. In that same Siberian cave, archaeologists found a girl nicknamed Denny. Her mother was a Neanderthal, her father was a Denisovan, a stunning confirmation that their worlds overlapped. Unraveling the story of these ancient peoples is a remarkable feat of scientific detective work. It begins, most traditionally, with fossils. A piece of a skull, a jawbone, or a sturdy leg bone can tell us a tremendous amount. It can reveal the physical characteristics of a species, their size, their shape, and even clues about how they walked or what they ate. For Neanderthals, we have a relatively rich fossil record from across Europe and the Middle East. For Denisovans, however, physical fossils are incredibly rare, which is why they remained hidden for so long. Every new fragment of bone is a precious piece of a much larger puzzle. Alongside fossils, we find the tools they left behind, a carefully shaped stone point. A scraper used for cleaning animal hides can be just as informative as a bone. These artifacts, part of what archaeologists call a toolkit, tell us about the technological skills and cognitive abilities of their makers. Different human groups had distinct ways of crafting tools. By studying these techniques, we can sometimes trace the movements of populations across the landscape. The challenge, of course, is that a tool alone cannot definitively tell you who made it. A particular style could have been invented by one group and later adopted by another, making the story a little more complicated. But the most revolutionary tool in our search for the past is the study of ancient DNA. For any ancient human group to reach the Americas, they would have had to overcome immense geographical barriers. The most widely accepted route for this migration is the Bering Land Bridge. During the coldest periods of the last ice age, massive amounts of the world's water were locked up in colossal ice sheets. This caused sea levels to drop dramatically, by as much as 120 meters. This drop exposed a vast, continuous landmass connecting what is now Siberia in Asia with Alaska in North America. This land, known as Beringia, was not a narrow bridge but a huge subcontinent, hundreds of kilometers wide. This Beringian landscape was not a barren, icy wasteland. It was a cold, dry grassland, a steppe tundra teeming with life. Herds of woolly mammoths, bison, horses, and caribou roamed this plain. For ancient hunter-gatherers, this would have been a rich and attractive environment. It is believed that human populations could have lived on the land bridge for thousands of years, their movements dictated by the herds they hunted. The journey into the Americas, therefore, may not have been a single, frantic dash, but a slow, generational expansion eastward, following the animals and the resources. This was the gateway to the New World. The timing of this journey is crucial. The land bridge was exposed for long periods, but the way south into the rest of the Americas was often blocked. Two massive ice sheets, the Laurentide and the Cordilleran, covered most of Canada. Sometimes these ice sheets fused together, creating an impenetrable wall of ice. At other times, as the climate warmed slightly, a corridor would open up between them, an ice-free corridor, allowing passage to the south. Another theory suggests that people might have bypassed the ice sheets altogether by traveling down the Pacific coast in small boats, a kelp highway rich in marine resources. The search for pre-modern humans in the Americas is filled with tantalizing but controversial finds. For many years, the Clovis first theory dominated archaeology. This theory held that the first people arrived around 13,500 years ago, identified by their distinctive Clovis spear points. However, a growing number of sites are challenging this timeline. Sites like Monteverde in Chile, the Topper site in South Carolina, the Cerruti Mastodon site in California, have produced evidence of human activity dated to 20,000, 50,000, or even an astonishing 130,000 years ago. These dates are far earlier than the accepted arrival of Homo sapiens. These ancient sites present a profound puzzle. The Cerruti Mastodon site, for example, features mastodon bones that appear to have been deliberately broken with large stones, as if for marrow extraction. If the 130,000-year-old date is correct, it is far too early for Homo sapiens to have been in the Americas. This is a time when Neanderthals were flourishing in Europe and Denisovans were present in Asia. This has led some to speculate that one of these archaic human groups must have been responsible. However, the evidence is debated. Critics argue that the bone breakage could be the result of natural geological processes, not human activity. The physical evidence in the form of skeletons is also contentious. Skulls found in Brazil and Mexico, such as Luzia. The human genome is a living history book. Within the DNA of every person is a record of their ancestry, stretching back hundreds of thousands of years. By studying the genetics of modern peoples and ancient peoples, we can trace migration routes and uncover ancient encounters between different human groups. When scientists first sequenced the Neanderthal genome and the Denisovan genome, they made a groundbreaking discovery. They found Homo sapiens interbred with both groups. Most people today with ancestry outside of Africa carry around 1 to 2% Neanderthal DNA in their genome. It's a direct, living link to our ancient cousins. The story of Denisovan DNA is even more fascinating. Present in smaller amounts in people across mainland Asia, highest concentrations up to 5% in Melanesia, Papua New Guinea, Australia. This tells us that the ancestors of these groups had significant interactions with Denisovans. Different Denisovan genetic signatures have been found in East Asians and in Native Americans, suggesting Homo sapiens interbred with at least 2 different Denisovan populations. Our ancestors met and mixed with these mysterious people on their long journey across Asia and into the wider world. This brings us to the crucial question: what does the DNA of indigenous peoples of the Americas tell us? All ancient Native American populations studied so far, the scientific community is far from united on this topic. The debate creates a fascinating tension between different fields of study. On one side, you have the geneticists. For them, the evidence is currently quite clear. The analysis of ancient and modern DNA from the Americas shows no unambiguous sign of a resident Neanderthal or Denisovan population. The genetic signatures of Native Americans are fully explained by ancestry tracing back through Beringia to Asia, including archaic DNA from mixing events in the Old World. From a purely genetic standpoint, the case for archaic humans in the Americas is closed, at least for now. On the other side are some archaeologists and paleontologists who point to a growing number of very ancient sites. They cite the Cerruti Mastodon site, dated to approximately 130,000 years. If these dates are accurate, they demand an explanation. The presence of an archaic human species is the most logical explanation. They say absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. The Americas are vast, and the chance of finding scarce fossils from a tiny pioneering population is astronomically small. They believe a small group of Neanderthals or Denisovans could have arrived, survived for a time, then died out, leaving almost no trace. This disagreement highlights different strengths and weaknesses of scientific disciplines. Is the genetic story the final word, or are archaeological outliers hinting at a chapter we have yet to read? This may seem like a distant academic question, but the search for our ancient cousins in the Americas touches upon the very essence of what it means to be human. It challenges our perception of our own species as unique and special. For a long time we have viewed the epic journey into the New World as a singular achievement of Homo sapiens, a testament to our unparalleled ingenuity and spirit of exploration. If we were to discover that Neanderthals Denisovans made a similar journey tens of thousands of years earlier, it would force us to share that pedestal. It would prove that the drive to explore to see what lies beyond the next hill is a trait we shared with our relatives. Understanding the full extent of Neanderthal and Denisovan capabilities helps us understand ourselves. These were not failed evolutionary experiments. They were successful, intelligent hominins who adapted and thrived for immense periods of time across diverse and challenging environments. Finding their traces in the Americas would be the ultimate confirmation of their resourcefulness. It would paint a picture of a past that was more diverse, more populated with different kinds of people than we ever imagined. Our planet was once home to multiple intelligent human species, and their stories are part of our own broader family history. Furthermore, this quest pushes the boundaries of scientific innovation. The need to identify the makers of the earliest American artifacts is driving the development of new techniques. The story is far from over. We stand at a thrilling moment in the exploration of our own past. The pages of this potential lost chapter of human history remain largely blank, waiting to be filled. The mystery of whether archaic humans first settled the Americas is a powerful driving force for a new generation of scientists. They are returning to old sites with new technologies, Siberia, Beringia, the Americas, searching for that one definitive clue that could change everything. The quest is a testament to our own species' insatiable curiosity. What would it take to solve this puzzle? The ultimate proof would be the discovery of a Neanderthal fossil in a securely dated American archaeological site. The ultimate proof would be the discovery of a Denisovan fossil in a securely dated American archaeological site. Imagine a skull fragment, or a tooth, found in a 50,000-year-old layer of Earth, from which scientists could extract the unmistakable DNA of a Neanderthal. Such a find would be one of the greatest archaeological discoveries of all time. It would instantly confirm their presence and open up 1,000 new questions about their journey, their life in this new world, their ultimate fate. It would be the smoking gun that the scientific community is waiting for. In the absence of a fossil, the search continues on other fronts. Perhaps an archaeologist will unearth a stone toolkit in Alaska. That toolkit could show Neanderthal-style techniques. Or perhaps advances in genetics will allow us to detect the faintest genetic echo of a lost population. A tiny unique segment of Denisovan DNA found only in an ancient skeleton from South America could hint at an encounter that current methods are too blunt to see. The possibilities are numerous, and the hunt is active on all fronts. From the windswept plains of the Yukon to the genetic sequencing labs of Leipzig. So we are left looking out over a vast ocean of time, piecing together a story from the faintest of whispers. The current evidence, especially from genetics, suggests that Homo sapiens were indeed the first human pioneers of the Americas, but archaeology keeps presenting us with tantalizing anomalies that challenge us to keep an open mind. The final answer may lie buried beneath the tundra, locked within a forgotten cave, hidden in a single strand of DNA. Until it is found, the Americas will hold on to one of humanity's greatest mysteries, a ghost story waiting to be told. It connects us to these long-vanished peoples, not as inferior predecessors but as fellow explorers on this planet. Their successes, their failures are part of the grand, sprawling, and still largely unwritten saga of humanity. The story is far from over. The pages remain largely blank, waiting to be filled. The ultimate proof would change everything, or confirm what we already suspect. Until then, we keep looking. Whether or not Neanderthals or Denisovans ever saw an American sunrise, asking the question forces us to look at the past with humility and wonder. It connects us to these long-vanished peoples, not as inferior predecessors, but as fellow explorers on this planet.